All right, it's Tuesday night, in off season, and we decided because we were trying to figure out what in the world we were going to talk about this week. So we reached out to a very special guest. Emphasis on special sometimes, but kind enough to join us for what, the fourth, fifth, sixth time, depending on the lost episode. Trevor Gorsuch is joining us once again to talk hockey and just catch up with him for the most part.
Yeah. What's up, guys?
How's it going? Yeah, he's fighting Brent for most appearances now, I think, because Brent's been on a few times. He's a Omaha fan that we have inducted into our small groupage here.
Oh, so I got to be nice to Brent.
I mean, you do you. I'm not telling
You
anybody what they do or don't have to do. I hold no power.
Like Wes says, you're an adult. You can make your own decisions.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I did just actually send a graduation card to my first billet family, the youngest one. He just graduated high school, and I was just like, I got that graduation notice in the mail, and I was like, no, this doesn't seem real, because I got there when I was like 2011, I want to say 2011, 2012. So what does that make that now? 12, 13 years?
Yeah,
Oh
something
my
like
God.
that.
13 years. So what is it? He was 5. Oh God, he was 5. Now he's graduated in high school. Jesus.
Yeah, it's the problem when you get to know kids, especially kids with a lot younger siblings, and all of a sudden they're graduating high school. You're like, or college. You're like, when did this happen? Like, I know I wasn't paying attention, but that's a
it's
long time ago.
oh my God. It's even like in my case, I this year I had a teammate that was freshly 21. Like he just turned 21 during the season. And I'm sitting there going, I started playing goalie when I was 7. I'm 29 right now, turning 30 in July, but 29 in the moment. I, I'm playing goalie 22 years. I've been playing goalie longer than this kid has been alive. And I'm just like, I'm getting old in this locker room setting. Like just looking around and listening to these conversations, I'm like, nope,
You know,
not for me.
you say that, and I literally had that thought driving home yesterday that I'm getting too like old in the world of college hockey. Like I have been out of college for 10 years now. Granted, I didn't graduate on time, so
that's okay.
That's not how long I've been out of high school. I've been out of high school for 17 years. And I'm like, dude, I've been out of school almost as long as these players coming in have been alive.
Oh yeah,
I was
it's
like,
my favorite when.
And then you're like
they
trying to
hit you with the.
Or you're trying to get them on here, and it's like I am way too old to be talking to you.
Hey, just be glad it's guys, and it's not like you're not trying to get like. Not that it couldn't expand into that, but it would also have to like be heavily prefaced. I'm not trying to be weird. This is a college hockey podcast. You'd be a little different if you're trying to slide into the DMs of a 18-year-old, 19-year-old college hockey female player,
right?
Because then you're just sitting there going like, "Hey, this is podcast stuff, not trying to be weird. I'm married. I have a baby."
Yeah, you kind of gotta.
I love my wife.
You kind of almost have to do that
her.
like with a vocal conversation. You can't really just slide into DMs on that one.
No. That's what I'm saying. At least like if you're reaching out to like the guys, like it's at least a little better because you're like, hey, we run this hockey podcast. Like, oh, cool. Yeah. It's like you slide all of a sudden into a girl's DMs and you're like, hey, and you're like, ooh.
Well, luckily, Western does not have a women's hockey team, and so I don't have to worry about that until they do.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
And by that time,
I was like, I had friends asking me if they were ever going to get one. And I was like, oh, well.
By that time, hopefully I can just send, Reagan in. Like, hey, my dad has a podcast.
Go.
Yeah. But no, I think Michigan just started talking about potentially getting a women's team going.
Yeah. I've heard there's a lot more because of the success of the PWHL. It's really reinvigorated the women's college hockey to get different programs to add them back. I mean, North Dakota used to have an amazing one.
Yeah.
And then I feel like it was either my freshman or my sophomore year. They like right before the season were like, sorry, girls, there's no team anymore. And I was just like, I remember even like, I was like, holy, that's nuts. Like, you've already started your classes and everything like that. And then they're just like, actually, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
That I don't get why, especially a school like North Dakota would get rid of their women's hockey program.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the success of the PWHL, actually, that I was thinking, I have an idea for a potential guest next year.
Oh boy.
Mike has ideas. We're in trouble.
I know we are in trouble, but this one kid that my dad had coached in basketball, he's going to play for the Gophers this coming year, and the boyfriend of this player, which I'll tell you off air, they're going to be team.
Yeah. Connect the dots.
Just trying to connect the dots here.
I was more laughing down there, but ask him to connect me to the boyfriend to ask her to jump on the podcast.
All right, we got there.
All right.
After a fucking layover in Atlanta.
What is that? What's that guy's name from It's Always Sunny in
Charlie?
Charlie. Yeah, Charlie.
Where he's got the red strings. It's all here.
Charlie is the best character on TV.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
All right. We've asked you this question before, but apparently Ben really wants or likes to ask you this question. Do you, in fact, like broccoli?
Do I like broccoli?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love broccoli.
Because we mentioned this before.
Broccoli's probably my favorite vegetable. No clue what that shirt meant of calling me a broccoli eater. No clue. I tried to Urban Dictionary it. I tried everything. All that kept coming up was that broccoli is a slang term for marijuana. And I'm like, I already knew that one. So don't really know what we're going for here. But I've been doing different ways of cooking it now.
I can't remember who you played. It had to have been like Kansas City.
It was probably KC because they're the biggest, inbreds I've ever seen.
The only thing I could think of would be like
the only ones the only fans of inbreds that top KC is Knoxville, Tennessee. When I played a couple games when I was down in the SB. I only got to play in Knoxville a couple times, and good God, you look around the stands during TV timeouts, and you're like, oh, that's a family tree that goes straight up, isn't it? It doesn't really branch out.
The one city where there might have been more teeth on the ice than in the stands?
Probably.
That was mean. I don't feel good about that one.
I like that one. That was
funny. That
I don't hate it, but I don't feel good about it.
The players on the ice had more teeth than there were in the fans. That's saying something when it comes to hockey players,
right?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the whole SP, isn't it?
Oh God, I mean, I loved my time there, and I met so many great guys. But yeah, I felt bad. I had a teammate when I was down there last year, or not last year, whatever, the season that I played down there, and he had skill and he was good, but our coach just saw him nothing more than a fighter, and like that was all he was to him. And I remember specifically one weekend we were playing a 3-game weekend set against Peoria, who was like our most hated rival. And we were playing the Friday night in Peoria, and then Saturday, Sunday was at home in Evansville. This kid started all 3 games, fought right off the first draw of the game, all 3 games. Now, I think he won. I think he went 2-1, but that Sunday after the game, I'd never seen someone more just like mentally just defeated. His knuckles were just bruised and bloodied and everything. And he's standing there. We had like a I think my roommate before I'd gotten there had stolen like a beer bucket from a bar that was down the road. He's sitting there and he's got one hand like knuckles in the beer bucket and he's holding on to another beer and he's literally just sitting there like this. And he's just trying to like comprehend because then he like pretty much didn't play the rest of the game. Like he literally just fought the first day and then maybe had a couple shifts and he's just sitting there, knuckles like icing and just sitting there, just like getting absolutely hammered. I'm like, dude, I feel so bad for you because like you have skill and talent, but like that's all my coach saw him as. And I was like, good God. And there's just so many of those stories of guys that are just in that league trying to do something to impress a coach, to impress somebody, to call them up. And sometimes they get that attention and other times they just like, nope, doesn't really impress us.
Yeah, I mean, was it Scott Darling, I think, played in the SP? Like there are a couple stories where guys have started in the SP, but it's tough, and that it kind of developed into what the EC was previously, I think.
Yeah, the coast. Yeah, I've heard horror stories of the coast that it used to be a lot like that, and that it's really cleaned up over the last probably 5-10 years. But yeah, the SB can be tough, especially because you're not making a lot of money down there. Not to say like I'm rolling in the dough in the ECHL, but they're at least making somewhat of a livable wage. Whereas they're like, you truly are doing it for the love of the game and that you truly love playing hockey. Because you're not
It's
making
pretty
enough
much
to sustain yourself.
Slapshot.
Oh, it's Slapshot. Yeah.
Let's see. Ben said
Oh.
a guy we sponsored in Mississippi went from fighter on that team to captain of Macon and winning a championship.
That's pretty good. And what was that? The Fed then? What team did he say?
He said they sponsored someone in Mississippi, and then he went to captain.
Mississippi would be the Fed. So that means he was the captain of the team in Mississippi, which is good, and he must have gotten notice and attention to get brought up to the SB. And you know, Macon has a pretty good, decent program. I played a little bit of time in Macon. I think they've been doing okay lately. Well, actually, I think lately they've been struggling, but and those success stories happen. I mean, I'm not even trying to point to me. I mean, I've had a couple stints down there, and then, but realistically, I know I should be in the ECHL and hopefully can earn a chance, an opportunity to go higher, but that's not really in my control. I just have to kind of play the game and do what I can do.
He was a fighter for Mississippi. Mississippi went under. They just announced the new ECHL team.
Wait. There might have been an old SP team that was in Mississippi because I know there's a team now in Mississippi and Biloxi, like that is a Fed team. So I wonder how long ago this was.
That's why that sounded familiar. Kingston played for Macon.
Yeah. Good old 8-finger.
He was fun to watch, honestly.
I love that kid.
Mississippi River Kings.
I love that kid.
And then he just up and was it his senior year or his junior year? Just up and disappeared like in the middle of the season.
I think it was his senior year. I think I it's not my place to talk about it.
No.
So all I know is he was happier for his decision. And you know, he's getting to play pro hockey. I saw him at different points on this Rapid City, and then I saw him last season when I was with Evansville, and he was in Macon. So he's still playing pro hockey and doing what he loves to do. And I still like to give him a hard time about his 8 fingers, even though obviously there's nothing he can do about it. But I truly love. I have some of the funniest videos are from him. And it's him doing crazy things with his 3-fingered hand. My favorite of them, I have 2. One of them is he's sitting there, and it's like, you know, the Michigan winters where like you get the ice over your windows, but you can still roll down your window and it just stays frozen solid. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, there's one like that, and it's just you see that, and then all of a sudden, like the scene in Alien of a chest burster, he just punches through and goes and just spreads apart his three fingers. It's hilarious. And then the other one, he's like holding the Pringles can, and you can't tell he's holding it with his three-fingered hand, and he's trying to like put his normal hand, and he like keeps getting stuck with the his five-fingered knuckles and everything, and he kind of like looks at the camera, grabs it, takes his three fingers, drops it all the way down, comes up with a chip. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he's got a sweet freaking mustache.
Oh yeah.
But no, dude, he was. There were some games where if you were on the ice and he was on the ice, you were getting hit.
Yeah, he was a wrecking ball.
Pinball out there some nights.
Mm-hmm.
And then other nights, like you couldn't keep him from scoring goals. It was ridiculous. He was so much fun to watch.
He's a good player. He's a good player. So I love him. I love Rhett. He's still one of my favorite people from Western.
Let's see. What else? It's been forever, but we talk all the time on Twitter now, so it's
like I never left.
I know, right?
I'm just your go-to with any questions. You're like, why did this happen? And I'm like, and I even go as so far as I try to research things if I don't know the answer, because I'm like, I don't know. Let me go look. Let me try to figure it out.
At least you try, unlike some of those panels.
Oh God, where you just pull something out of your ass, and I'm like, I don't want to say that, because then like I don't want you guys to go onto your podcast and be like, well, our friend Trevor told us this, and it's just blatantly wrong, and everybody's like, no, that's stupid, that's wrong, and like then that just looks bad on all of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd rather say I don't know and then try to find an answer, and if I can't find one, I just say I don't know. But had some interesting times this year with different situations. So, I was able to be a little more of help this year with answering your guys' questions than maybe years past.
Yeah, preparing for your life as a coach and getting some silly questions, or life in the press box, whatever.
Who knows?
Whatever future endeavors.
If I do life in the press box, I might have to curtail the language at times.
Or maybe full-time third on here.
Maybe
lots of future left. What do you think of the old NCHC expanding twice in the next 5 years?
So who's the other one? I saw St. Thomas. Who was the other one I might have missed?
Arizona State comes in this year.
Oh, that's official.
Yeah.
I never saw anything of that being official. I had heard like the little rumors, but I think that's good. Especially because a lot of the NCHC teams a lot of them were closer together, and Western was kind of like one of the farther ones. It was like Western, Colorado College, Denver, but those ones are in like major hubs that are easy to get to. Whereas like to get to Western, you either got a bus or you had to fly to Detroit, then bus from Detroit. And I just remember teams and like having buddies. Like this year I played with Jake Wallen, who played on St. Cloud for almost the whole time that he was at St. Cloud and I was at Western. And we would talk, and he's like, dude, I used to hate coming to Western. He's like, and it wasn't just because playing at Lawson. It was just because like all the travel, and it was so like inconvenient of having to like fly to Detroit, then like bus in, and then it was just a cluster. He's like, other places were so easy to get to, and it was just kind of made the teams kind of like not want to come to play against Western because like there was such a pain to travel. But I think expanding to ASU and then St. Thomas is good. I mean, again, it only makes the conference better. ASU has been slowly but steadily making themselves a better and better program every year. And then I don't know too much about St. Thomas, but again, that's another good for the program, for the conference, and makes all the programs look better.
They were St. Thomas, I think they're in their third year as a program, and they've gotten better each year. And I think they might have won the CCHA this year, but
tied for
and
second.
then they got tied for second. But then they're still not eligible for the NCAA tournament, and I think they got, I don't know, they got knocked out in the semis or in the finals for the CCHA. But they were really good.
Yeah, they've steadily gotten better.
And they have a brand new facility that they're making on campus that's going to be kind of a multi-purpose arena in a sense.
Now, St. Thomas is out of Minnesota, right?
Yeah, they're out of St. Paul. And they were forced.
Another Minnesota.
I know, I got to go back there.
They were forced out of Division III because they were basically winning everything in the conference.
That's why I know who St. Thomas is. I'm sitting there and going like, why is St. Thomas so familiar? It's because they were probably they were, at least in my time of college hockey, they were the best D3 school. D3 program beside them and Adrian were like.
Yep, and St. Norbert was also in there.
St. Norbert, Stevens Point, those were the top 4 D3 schools that were winning it virtually every year. So yeah, that's why St. Thomas. Okay.
Yeah.
That's even better.
They
because that means St. Thomas has fallen in the same steps of ASU of club or D3 to making the jump to D1 and improving every year. And not to plug my own hometown, but Lindenwood's done a pretty good job of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I applaud the hell out of Lindenwood. I mean, I looked before this season, I looked at their schedule and I went, oh my God, you guys are nuts. They're playing Air Force, they're playing Michigan, they're coming to play Western. They were picking all of these big name schools that most of them were pretty high up the college hockey depth chart, within the top 15, most of them. And I'm like, oh, as a second-year program, you guys are really trying. But again, that only makes them look good as a program, that they're sitting there like, hey, we want to get better. We want to succeed. We want to move into a good conference and whatever. So we're going to, until then, we're going to play some of the best teams and show you that competition. Not a bad way to bring in recruits. If you're sitting there going, yeah, hey, if you maybe don't have an offer from Michigan, Ohio State, Western, Duluth, St. Cloud, any of these, come to Lindenwood and we're going to play these teams. You're still getting that exposure.
Yeah, St. Thomas's first ever Division I game full-time was against St. Cloud, and I think they got just ripped 12-0, maybe 12-1. But then they did kind of like a quote-unquote home and home. St. Thomas played at the X. And I think they only lost 3-1 or 4-2, something like that.
I mean,
it was the second game of a back-to-back, and St. Cloud was using it as a warm-up exhibition,
game, whatever.
Yeah. But then
still,
the next year, it was even closer, and then I think this year, St. Thomas might have beat them or at least gone to overtime with them because I think they had maybe a 3-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like St. Thomas was playing slouches in the CCHA either with how Tech has been playing and Mankato.
Yeah.
Don Lucia, I think, is probably going to be a little upset that they're leaving because he's the commissioner of the CCHA with how their rise has gone. But he can't do much about that at this point.
But again, and this is why, and I'm sorry to all if there's other people that listen that aren't from the NCHC. I'll say it and I'll say it again. The NCHC is the best conference in college hockey. You have the best competition within the NCHC night in, night out. I'm sorry. You can sit there and the best part is when you get the teams like the East or the Big Ten and all them. They're like, well, what about us? It's like, okay, well, let's also look at the national tournament. When we go to the national tournament, they always put 2 or 3 of the 6 NCHC teams in the same spot to try to whittle it down to 1. Whereas the Big Ten is like there, and then East is spread out. But you got 4 teams of the NCHC pretty much playing in one area because they're like, oh, darn it, you guys only got one team to show out of there. And it's like, and then virtually anytime you take an NCHC team and you put them against those other programs, doesn't normally work out too well.
Because that happened this year in the
St. Louis was freaking NCHC versus Big Ten.
Yeah.
It was 3 teams from Michigan. It was Michigan, Michigan State, Western, and North Dakota.
Mm-hmm. Who made it out of that one?
Michigan.
Not State. Michigan?
Yeah, we don't really need to talk about that.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I tried to watch the game, but I think I had my own game at that point.
13 hours of driving.
Yeah,
that weekend.
And I feel bad too because like technically that's my hometown, and I'd never seen that building, and I've heard it's got such a bad rep now from how that was perceived in that event.
Okay, and they did a great job. And here's what I learned from that event: it's never going to turn out the way everyone thinks it's going to be, and here's why. You have 4 teams playing. They're set up so that there is at least an hour in between games. No matter what, there's going to be an hour between game 1 ending and game 2 warm-ups. Not even puck drop, warm-ups. No one who's in that second game, unless they're the most ridiculous hockey fans ever, is sitting through that first game if they don't care about either of those teams. Especially if there's a casino within walking distance of the arena. True. And you can just go get hammered over there.
Yeah.
And then it's going to switch. When the second game comes, the fans who won, they're going to want to go celebrate their win. Maybe they'll go watch the second game at a bar. The fans who lost, they're like, I'm just going to go back to the hotel and sleep because this sucks. Like there was maybe a handful of Western people who stayed for the second game because they had made the trip and they're going to make the most of it.
Yeah.
And
so it really was better than it was portrayed.
Yeah, and they sell it as one event. They don't sell like game 1 tickets and game 2 tickets. I mean, they might sell a few of them here and there, but for the most part, if you're paying for a ticket, it's both games.
Okay. Well, I just meant in the sense of like I've never even seen the building, so I have no idea how nice it is. And I had people ask me like, "Is it nice?" I was like, "It wasn't around when I was a kid." I was like, the arena I grew up playing on is now a Top Golf. They bulldozed it and they made a Top Golf. This was to replace my old arena. Yeah, I mean,
did you play? Did you play at Munn?
That's
State.
Michigan State. I never got to play at I never got to play at Munn. What year did we go there? It was one of my years at school. We went and played Michigan State, and I don't remember, but I feel like it was my freshman year. I think we went, and I didn't even get to take morning skate because it was like the second game or something like that, and I just sat in the stands. I was like,
I mean, you've been there. You know what the layout of the arena is, right?
Yeah, very vaguely.
I would say,
but yes,
that those 2 buildings have a very similar vibe.
Okay.
The building itself, and like there's at least one more set of sheet of ice inside. Then there's that like outdoor rink area. So the Lindenwood area is, I think, bigger just because like it's more. There's more to it because it's a pro practice facility as well. But as far as the actual arena, I think Munn holds more people. Okay. And there might be like more concession stuff in the arena. But those 2 have very similar vibes as far as
similar vibe and
the arena itself. Yeah.
All right. That gives me a good idea of what it's like. So.
Dude, that Lindenwood goalie, I argue that he is 6 foot, and I will every day forever. And Mike heard me complain about this every time he was brought up, but he was an incredible goaltender. That dude faced like 67 shots in game 1 against Western and only allowed them to score like 3 goals or something. Got lit up for like 7 night 2, but the student section was trying to see if they could get to 69 shots on goal in game 1.
I was watching it and I was telling Wes, I'm like, you need to get him, like, offer him some wings and a beer down at your bar because he was incredible. And Wes goes, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, you got to give him credit.
That's
No,
fine. I mean, I was sitting there
to be 6 foot on the score sheet.
That's like Ben Blacker saying that he was 5'11".
That's what I'm saying. Like, I am 5'10", and I'm pretty sure we were eye to eye with him in his skates.
No, that kid was 5. Yeah, I was gonna say, but Blacker was 5'8" on a good day. He wore steel that was this tall. You could look at it. You can Google it. It's called Super Step Steel. It was so tall, it had to have a little S cut out in it because it was so heavy.
What was it? Murray thought his younger brother was Ben on a visit or something because Ben's brother was like 6'2", like normal goalie height that what Murray was looking for.
Yeah.
And so he went up to shake his hand first, like, how's it going, Ben? And Ben's like, over here, coach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I heard that story too. No, my senior year, Blacker was trying to like take up as much net as he could. He ordered the same size chest protector as me. I wear a large body with medium arms, and I'm like, Benny boy, that's too big. I was like, that's too big. I was like, you got to go the opposite. I was like, you got to go medium, small. Like, if you're going to, and he like couldn't move. And then he like, they had to send it back and get him a new one.
That's so great.
It's even like basketball. I think we had a kid one time. He was probably 5'11". Somehow he ended up on the program as 6'11". We were sitting there at practice one day and we look like, how do you not know how to write numbers? Because we have to write down our heights. Like,
yeah, or it was just a pure
here?
typo that like somebody hit the 6 instead of the 5, and you're like, hey, you got to fix this.
But we're like, well, maybe they got a program and they're thinking, oh, they got a 6'11" guy. We don't have anybody that tall. Come in scared, and then here comes our 5'11" center.
He comes jogging in.
Man, that's funny. Okay, what was it? I was going to ask you this earlier and I forgot. If you're the extra skater and you're the dude who's got to serve the penalty, right? You get screwed on having to sit the penalty anytime there's someone. So you either don't play on the PK or you're just elected team bitch for the night. Who are you more angry with, when the goaltender pulls a penalty or when that guy gets ejected and you have to sit there for like 5 minutes as opposed to just the goalies too?
Ooh. Well, I'll actually answer a different part. Sometimes it's not necessarily it's usually a guy that's not on the PK.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely seen some like top line dudes who just don't play the PK because they're hoping to maybe catch the defense snoozing and then get the break out the box.
That's what a lot of teams do.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of teams do now. A lot of teams will put in, like, if they have the option to, they'll put in like their best scorer and they'll throw him in the box. And he's sitting there going, I'm not playing the PK anyway. Like, what do I care? Ooh, I could either chill here and get the chance for a goal basically right away, or I'm sitting here on the bench waiting for the rotation to go back around once we get off the PK. They're taking that opportunity every day of the week. So, I mean, most times, and this is biased as a goalie, I'll admit, most times a goalie penalty is either A, deserved, or it's complete bullshit. There's not a whole lot of like the stupid penalties. Where like what I would say is a stupid penalty, like we were talking before the show. I go out to play the puck and I get a little too much under it and I send it 9 rows above the glass and I take out some kid's teeth. You sit there and you're like, come on, Trev, like I've seen you shoot the puck every day in practice and you've never, like, you don't normally launch it into the stands. Like, what are you doing? And it's like, it was stupid. It was dumb. It was a bad penalty. Or like you take an interference call on a guy where you step out and you punch him with your blocker, or I don't know, like
Throw a
guy
puck
at
at a
North
guy.
Dakota or a guy at North Dakota barrels over you, lays on top of you. They end up scoring a goal. He then yells in your face to make an effing save, and so you get in a heat of anger. You throw the puck and the blocker at them. Actually, that one fired up the team, and we came back and won. So those all kind of have semantics to them. But definitely the other one. Those guys want to blow their brains out when they sit there and they got to go serve 5 minutes for a guy that just got ejected. Like those are the worst, because now that guy, even if he maybe isn't a penalty kill guy, he's in there. Even if like it goes, he's stuck in there. So even if they go off the full penalty kill and then play continues, most of those 5 minutes are he can't come out till the whistle. And it's like he's just sitting there like, all right, I want to play, guys.
He's just on full timeout for a whole 5.
Yeah. In those cases though, I think then they kind of throw out either the like the extra forward or whoever, that they're kind of like, all right, you were already our like fourth line guy or something.
You're
like
already
that.
the
Like,
grocery stick. We're just gonna shove you over.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna be the grocery stick over there.
He brings his dandelions to pick in the penalty box.
So
making
I
notes
had a
on
guy,
the Gatorade.
I had a guy pull out the he had to go serve a 5 minute. This kid was a clown. My rookie year, he pulled out the in the penalty box. They had like the program, kind of like our team program, and he was he like guys were, and he just like took a pen from the guy like the scores table and like crossed out our guy that got ejected. He's like, he's not in. And then he was like, and then he started like taking notes on it, and somebody was like, what are you taking notes at? And then like the score table like looked at it after, and it was just like just doodles and just killing time and just being just hanging out, because he's like, he literally at one we looked over there and it was like a TV timeout or something, and he had his feet up like on the like the door, and he was just kind of like hanging out, just like not caring at all. And it was like, oh my god, this kid's a clown.
I mean, what else is he supposed to do though at that point? Like,
exactly. No, like you didn't even do the penalty, So that's like truly having a little sibling or like little sister, little brother. They punch you, and then you got to go sit in timeout for 5 minutes.
Oh, you mean everyone who ran into Austin Rushev? Because that dude got called for a penalty once a weekend for someone running in their head into him.
Let's also be clear. I love Roosh.
I'm not saying he was the gracefulest player either.
No, Roosh is a little bit of an unintentional Brad Marchand rat.
But
Roosh would sit there and be like, oh yeah, I know I'm so tall, and his head's right by my elbow, and I could just kind of keep my elbow down to my body, or I could just kind of like, and then he's like, I was playing the puck, and you're like, no. The other one like that, who is truly a gentle giant away from the rink, is Mike McKee. And that man scares me. That man is a true embodiment, and I love him to death, and I hope he doesn't take it this way. That man is a Neanderthal. That man hit the Neanderthal part of evolution and then just didn't
just found hockey.
Yeah. I mean, okay, there's an exercise a lot of hockey players do of like crossover step ups on a bench, and most guys are holding like 45, 50-pound dumbbells, and you're standing there and you cross one leg over, and that leg that crosses steps onto the bench, and then you kind of stand up and you drive that inside knee up. It's a good exercise and whatever. I'm doing my freshman year. I'm doing a scratch skate workout with him, because he was just constantly scratched, because he was another one like Roosh, so big, so strong, couldn't play because as soon as he touched somebody, it was like, Mikey, you're going to the box. And he's like, Gorse, you want to work in with me? I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And he's like, what do you? I was like, what weight are you doing? He goes, oh, I got this. I was looking at the racks of dumbbells. I look over at him. He has a barbell with a plate on each side of 135. And he is just stepping over and just, and then like doing it like it's nothing. And he's like, all right, Gorse, your turn. I'm like, no. I was like, I'm going to do dumbbells because I'm not crazy. That's insanity. To watch him throw weight around was just stupid in the weight room. Like the amount of weight and how strong he was incredible.
Yeah, there have been some interesting characters who have come through the Western program for sure. He's up there with the best of them.
Oh yeah.
No, I think every program has those guys too.
Yeah, those just mutants that you're like, where did they breed you?
Well, then like the other thing too is like he was a natural defenseman. I think he started playing D, and then for whatever reason, the Red Wings were like, we're gonna draft you as a forward. And then Western was like,
along those lines.
Let's play him as a forward. And he kind of
well, that's because Detroit told them to play him as a forward.
And like the first year, you could tell he totally wasn't necessarily like as comfortable as he could have been skating up as a forward and stuff. I think mostly they just wanted him to stand in front of the net and be the next like kind of Holmstrom type player, just stand there and either get hit by the puck or maybe tap it in. But
well, I mean he plays defense now for Tulsa because we played Tulsa as many times as I played Kansas City this year, and I mean Mikey plays a good defense. His only thing ever was just he's not the strongest or fastest skater.
Yeah,
so that's what gets him in trouble. But like other than that, he makes good plays with the puck. He gets shots through. Doesn't really turn pucks over in the D. In the D zone. But when he does, better hope you don't get caught in his crossfire because he's already mad at himself for making a turnover, and then he's mad at you.
You have the puck
for getting the turnover, and then he's like, "Bull seeing red. I'm gonna run you over," and you're like, "Oh boy."
Yeah, no, he was awesome. Like in the defensive zone, even at Western, like you knew like, all right, this is where this dude belongs. He doesn't have to like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they just wanted to park him in front of the net and like you skate down here and then sit.
But even then, you could have had him be your defenseman.
Yeah.
And then just throw him on the power play and have him stand in front on PP1. I mean, who did that? Somebody used to do that all the time. It was in the NHL. Oh, Blues. Blues used to do that with Pronger at times. When Pronger wasn't scoring as much from the point, they would throw him in front and have McInnes back there just hammering shots. I mean, would you want whatever 6'6", 200 and whatever Chris Pronger standing in front of you?
And then have Al McInnes' shot?
Well, yeah, Al McInnes' shot, but then you're trying to decide, do I want to try to block Al McInnes' shot, or do I want to take the chance of I'm going to cross-check Pronger, maybe catch him in a spot, and then Pronger is going to just hold that and beat the hell out of me later? Which one of those sounds better? Neither.
They both sound equally awful.
They sound like I would just skate off the ice and go in the fetal position.
Coach.
So sub me out. I got a cramp.
Line change. 1. Yeah. More reason why I chose to be a goalie.
That's still one of the greatest lines that I've heard from a goalie was Briz when he was like, "Who's more crazy? I have all these pads on, but the defensemen or the forwards are going to try and block these shots right from the defenseman. Yeah, I get hit in the head a lot more probably, but I have all these pads on." It's like, no, Briz, you're just crazy.
Yeah, Briz was a special cat. Yeah, Briz was definitely the epitome of like, all right, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Not all of us are like him. We love you, Briz, but don't associate. We're not all like you.
When they do like the Road to the Winter Classic and he was on the Flyers, Yager's sitting at a table Briz goes and sits down next to him, and Yager just picks up his food and moves to a different table. He's like, yeah, no.
I remember that. Yager's so funny. Yager's another one that's just like, you're like, holy cow. I think this will be 44 consecutive Stanley Cups. I think I saw today of like a teammate that's played with Yager.
Something like that.
I could probably see that.
I think I remember seeing that today.
It's got to be.
It was like Trocheck, Huberdeau, and then I'm trying to think of who would else be on the other two teams that he'd play with. I think it was an Instagram post by the NHL. Let me see if I can find it really quick. I think I saved it. Yeah, I did.
As we were talking about before, you probably, with the end of your year, you probably felt for the Vancouver goalie last night. Holy cow, was he getting peppered. I shut it off after the second period.
Yeah, he was getting smoked. Yeah, that was bad. But yeah, it's been Trocheck is the guy on the Rangers. You got Adam Henrique and Brett Kulak that are on the Oilers. Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin are the Stars guys.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then there's a lot of guys that are on the Panthers. You got Ekblad, Barkov, Kulikov, Bennett, Kachuk, Lomberg, and Bobrovsky.
Yeah, because Henrique was probably Devils.
Yeah, maybe. It has the teams that they played with him. Henrique was Devils. Yeah. Kulak, it was Calgary. Sagan was Boston post-trade. Kachuk was Calgary. Lomberg was Calgary. Bennett was Calgary. Bobrovsky was Philly. And then Trocheck was Florida. It's still so weird to say that Trocheck's on the Rangers. Like he just seems like he's on the Panthers in my head.
I was really pulling for Vancouver. Just because
I like Vancouver.
It's really only because they have like 85 Western players somewhere in their organization. All right, 85 is a stretch. There's 5,
I know
6.
There's a good number.
5. I know Susie from UMD was on their team. Just because I heard his name, that was the first game that I'd watched of like any of these playoffs this year.
I think Western wise, the only team we might have left is Hershey. Amongst at least the AHL and the NHL.
Yeah, because you got Ethan and Hershey.
Yep. Where's Rusha?
I thought he was on the Rangers one in Hartford. Aren't they still in?
Is he still at Hartford? I think at one point he was with Milwaukee.
Did he get traded to Milwaukee?
I think at one point he did. Where's your stupid rosters? I hate the AHL. Their rosters.
I didn't know he got traded. I thought he was still with the Rangers, which their affiliate is Hartford, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah, I want to say
because Wade got traded to Milwaukee.
Yes.
He got traded. His rights got traded to Milwaukee because they're Nashville's affiliate.
Yes. He is at least not listed on the playoff roster with Hartford. So yeah, I don't think he's with Hartford anymore. And I want to say that was a couple of years ago, so he may not even be with Milwaukee anymore.
Wow.
Let's see, I think.
Don't hold me
Hershey
to that.
Has, I think Lieberman played at St. Cloud, and Ethan, and then Shepard as the goalie.
Cleveland has Hunter McCown from CC. He doesn't count as what we're doing here. Why are you miserable at being a thing? Well, the way
Where
they list.
Do you want me to start?
Shut up. Cleveland's got Zach Okabe from St. Cloud. Nope. Yep. No Western on Cleveland, which I knew. I don't even.
Yeah.
Syracuse. I don't think there's anyone on Syracuse either.
Rusha. Let's see. It says he's with Wilkes-Barre Scranton.
Oh, so it'd be the Pens now.
Yeah. So it looks like he was with Hartford, 1, 2, 3. And then from, let's see, Hartford 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23. He played 31 with Hartford, then got traded to Milwaukee. And then this year he played 67 games with Wilkes-Barre Scranton.
I knew he was with Milwaukee for a minute. Okay, so then it would be Milwaukee, Hershey, is Wade.
Yeah.
Anybody? No. Vancouver would have been like the most Western stacked, but I think they just got bumped last round.
Yeah.
No one from Grand Rapids from Western. A couple NCHC guys. Yeah, nope. So it's just Milwaukee and Hershey right now. If you're looking for Western folk who are still in the playoffs. And then maybe, I don't even know ECHL wise either, actually. It would be, there's no one from Toledo.
Nope.
Kalamazoo's done. Who's left? I probably should have clicked on the other one. Adirondack Thunder, the other Thunder.
Yeah, the better Thunder.
AC
Florida, I don't know if they have anybody.
I don't think so, because Icapelli's on Jacksonville.
Yeah, he was on Jacksonville, and he barely counts as an alumni.
Hey, he played more games than Paul Cotter did, and Western celebrates Paul Cotter.
Yeah, but Paul Cotter won a Stanley Cup, so you kind of get a little bit of a.
I'm just saying the dude didn't even play a full season. He played 8 games and then went to the OHL.
Yeah, well, you can thank Andy Murray for that.
I mean, I'm on the other side of the locker room, so I don't know or the locker room doors. So, but it could be figured out when you only stay for 8 games if there's something going on. Okay.
Yeah. Well, then you got, I did Ike's homework for 2 years, basically. A few of us did Ike's homework for 2 years to keep him eligible.
And then Kansas City.
There's nobody on Kansas City.
So,
yeah. Ike got to the point where, like you do grade checks or whatever, and Andy would be like, all right, how's everybody doing? Like, you need to put in your grades and this, that, whatever. And you had to be honest. And if you weren't doing well, you had to come clean or whatever. Andy wouldn't even go to Ike that sophomore year. Wouldn't even go to Ike. He'd literally go to myself, Schooneman, McMullen, and Conrad. He would literally go to us 4. And he's like, is Ike passing his classes? And we're like, yeah, he's passing. Like, he just had no interest in doing anything school.
Yeah.
Like, he would do some of the stuff, but there was just so many, like, the tedious work and things. He would be like, Gorse, can you send me that thing? Already did, Ike. Just put your name on it. Just put your name on it and send it in.
That's funny. But so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys making their ways though. Granger just made his AHL debut with San Jose. Dylan Went made his debut with Utica. Colangelo, who was only here last year, he played 4 games with San Diego and I think 4 games with Anaheim at the end of the year. Got a goal in.
Who got the goal for the Colorado Avalanche at the end of the season?
That's what I was trying to remember.
Poland's been up a couple times. I don't know if he had a goal at the end of the year with the Avs.
I thought it might have been Poland.
It might have. I mean, I know he got one early in the year and then he got hurt for a little bit. But he got time with the Avs this year.
Let's see.
I don't think Sheldon played very many pro games with Vancouver this year. I think he was mostly in Abbotsford.
No, I don't want postseason. I want regular season.
It might have been earlier in the year.
Yeah,
it was Poland.
Yeah, because he only had he has
Poland.
1 goal on the year, 7 games played, 1
Poland.
goal.
Yeah, that's what it was. For whatever reason, I thought it was later in the year.
And then Hilsendegger joined Colorado, the Eagles, later in the year, so they have 3 Western players now. Poland, Schuneman, and Chad Hillebrand. Nope. Chad Hilsendegger. Jesus, wait. Chad Hillebrand. Jesus Christ. There's so many fucking names. All right. Double check, because now I feel like an idiot for not knowing. But I'm going to use my little... Where is it? I know his first name's Chad. That much I do know. Chad Hillebrand.
Chad.
Daniel Hilsendegger is the defenseman. Chad Hillebrand is the forward, who had 2 shorthanded goals against Miami in the final series of the year. Like back-to-back shorthanded penalties. It was hilarious.
That's pretty cool.
The only 2 shorthanded goals Western had all year.
Jesus Christ. That's not good.
Well, I mean, you know, they killed a lot of penalties. They just didn't score on the PK very often.
Well, we didn't. My team didn't really score on the power play or the PK too often, so I know that pain. But actually, we just didn't really score at all.
But we did have Luke Bafia eating pucks.
Oh God! Well, I was talking my team this year. I wasn't even talking Western's team when I played there.
Actually, you were pretty solid.
We had a pretty good power play and penalty kill when my senior year when I was there. Yeah, we had a pretty decent team then. Just fell into the stereotypical Andy Murray trap of not getting enough rest and not taking the off weekends as off weekends and then burning ourselves out come January every year.
I really want to know, like, what the biggest change has been. I think they kind of mentioned it, though, between, like, what Murray was doing and what First is doing now. Like, you look at, like, top 4 offense 3 years in a row, back-to-back NCAA goal leaders, had a shot at it for a 3-peat, which would have been the first time, I think, ever. This year, a couple guys fell off late in the year. 3 straight NCAA appearances, a tournament win, first one in program history, an NCHC finals appearance. You know, we lose the top 3 goals or point getters from every year have signed pro deals. So at least 9 players signing pro deals without, you know, the handful of other guys. But they're doing something and they're getting production that, like,
so I think it came down to look at it doesn't boil down to just Andy, as much as I say Andy at times. Look at the turnover. So when I was doing my recruitment was through Shayak. I went through Dave Shayak was a lot of my recruitment. I didn't really talk to Andy till like near the end of my recruitment. But a lot of the guys that went to Western and guys we missed out on coming to Western, like we had Wyatt Kalnuck that went to Wisconsin, I believe, and he turned into a pretty good college player, and then has been a pretty good pro player. We had a few other guys that were committed to us, but their commitments were through Brad Barr, who was the assistant coach my freshman year, and then after that, Barr was gone, and so then, you know, Andy brought in, who was our assistant coach then, besides Shayak? Krieger. We bring in Krieger, Todd Krieger. Kriegs is great. Everybody loves Kriegs. Then Kriegs leaves. So you just have this constant turnover of, you know, not listening to other people And that was unfortunately something Andy didn't do overly well. He very much micromanaged everything. So like he would want Shayak to run our penalty kill or Krieger to run our power play. So they would design and work up our power plays and our penalty kills. But then he would be like, all right, so this is what they've told you. This is what I want. And it would be something different than what we've already planned on done. And it's like, well, okay, well, who do we listen to? If I listen to Kriegs, you're going to yell at me because this isn't what you wanted, or, so on and so forth. So there was a lot of this miscommunication, butting heads of ideas and ideologies. Whereas I think Fersh, and again, this is just from speculation. I don't know. I've never got to play for Fersh. Fersh seems to have a good balance of he is the head of the ship, but he has his assistants that either are all on the same page or they are like it's open to have their own ideas and basically the freedom of, listen, Fersh, I want to run a power play like this. And Fersh can go, all right, let's run it. If it works, let's ride. If it doesn't, we'll go back to what I liked or something like that. I don't know. But that's what seems to be more of the culture. It also seems from guys I've talked to, Fersh is a little bit more invested in getting to know the players as people, not just players. And that kind of helps bond you to like make you want to win for your coach, makes you be like, this guy believes in me. He like this guy's, whatever. Whereas Andy just kind of felt, again, this is talking from somebody that Andy talked very highly of and loved me. Andy felt like someone that kind of lofted above you and was always looking down. So you were never on an eye-to-eye conversation with Andy. You were never like having a heart-to-heart. You were always like a child looking up, trying to like have a conversation of approval, getting approval from like a parent. Whereas like from people I've talked to, Fersh seems to be more of a, let's be eye to eye. You got a problem with me? Let's come hash it out. Not let's bury it and not talk about it. And I don't know.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I don't know how to go about these, but do you think?
Go ahead and ask them.
I'm trying to figure out how to act, like the right way to phrase it and the order to do it, because I think some of it. Do you think some of it is that Fershweiler had the experience of not only playing college hockey, but played at Western, and has a slight more ownership of like the program and the feel of like one, what it's like to be in that facility at that university, and it's just as much a part of him as it is the guys playing, because he had that role as a player and now he's coming back as a coach. Versus
I can see that.
Versus Andy, who was, kind of at the pinnacle of the game in the NHL and came back down to college.
Yeah, I can see that, because Andy definitely tried to run it like we were the NHL. And, obviously there's times that's great. And carrying yourself with professionalism and this, that, whatever, and a degree of we are, be men, be professional, and that, whatever. But I'm not trying to be, sorry, anybody that's worded with that PC world, but that's what Andy wanted, be a professional. But there was limits to that. I mean, you're going on an all day, you're going to travel for all day, as an example of, we get on the bus at 7 a.m. We bus from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. to Detroit to fly out at 11. And then we land in Minneapolis. And then we got a bus from Minneapolis to North Dakota, all while wearing a suit and tie that entire time until we get to Minneapolis and get on the bus in Minneapolis, where we could take the suit off, but then we had to put the suit back on when we got to the North Dakota arena to unpack the bus, set up our stalls, get back on the bus, go to the hotel. What is the point of wearing a suit all day, and now you're going to wear that suit for a 2 or 3 game series, and that's what you're wearing to every meal, every time you go to the rink. Like, you're wearing that, and it's just like, there's nothing wrong with wearing tracksuits like you see other teams do. They show up in tracksuits that match team matching tracksuits. What's wrong with that? But it seems to be, something you said about Firsch being, he played at the program. It means something a little bit, not necessarily that doesn't mean more to him.
It means something different, though.
But it means something different. And that's where I think it's possibly with Firsch is that and that's where I say that connection is Andy kind of runs it like an NHL coach looking. There is not, in those days, there wasn't a whole lot of a player-coach relationship. The coach was up here. You listened to your coach. You did what your coach said. But in college, you are in a position to mold, help grow, help, even if it's not even in the sense of hockey, but in a personal state. You should feel comfortable going to someone that is supposed to be that you spend so much of your time with that you'd basically be like, this is my family, Maybe it's something you don't want to go to your parents. Well, who's somebody that I trust with everything? Well, that would be, some of my friends, but that could be somebody like Firschweiler, who's lived through all of the college, being a college student, playing college hockey, trying to balance all that craziness and all this, whatever. And you just go, Firsch, can we talk for a minute? Like, not hockey related. I just need some help. And I think Firsch brings that level of familiarity and comfort in that sense, but also, again, commands the respect of the coach. When it's time to coach, it's coach. When we are away, we can be, not buddy, but we can be personable. We can talk. We can have a normal relationship. And that was something never had with Andy. I have a great deal of respect for Andy. I respect the hell out of Andy. I mean, I know I could text Andy or call him right now and be like, Andy, I need you to help me find a place to play next year. Or Andy, I need help getting a job. Can I use you as a reference? And Andy would help make calls or make references and be a reference to me and help me get a job. So Andy in that sense is great. I think he just didn't want that same level of a player-coach relationship. He wanted it to be more distant, I'm coach, you're player kind of thing, and that dynamic.
I think that's kind of something that it's really coming into play now across a lot of the team sports where, just being the Minnesota fan that I am, Kevin O'Connell, he kind of gets a little bit of criticism of being too buddy with his players. But then you had Mike Zimmer, who was that same Andy Murray, that old school, but now like with the Wolves being how good they are, the team wants to run through a wall for him, and they love him so much, and he's not afraid to call him out. And there was an example of, I don't know if it was this year or last year, they were talking about on the radio where Chris Finch in a press conference, he said Anthony Edwards was playing immature, and he hadn't told Ant that at all. They asked Ant about it, and they're like, well, Finchy said that you're playing immature, and he goes, yeah, we've talked about this a lot, and I was like, he was right, but I would do everything for him. And it's that personal level where he holds everyone accountable, but he's not like, do as I say, like do everything I say. It's a very fine line to balance.
And that's what I was going to say. It's another one to look at is in just this playoffs. And I know you said you haven't been watching a lot, but Montgomery called out Pasternak. And he's like, in this time of the year, you need our best players to play. And right now, I need better. I need better from Pasta. Pasta said, yep, I agree. And then he went out and he scores the game winner in OT. So, and he's like, he goes, we had talked and I knew I needed to be better. And another guy like that, even better example, Campbell, the coach for the Lions.
Yeah.
Talk about having personal relationships, but also being like, I'm the one in charge. And I think if you can find that balance, those are the kind of coaches that you see a lot of great success come from, because especially in today's game, because for a long time, it was you as the player, you were told what to do, when to do it, what to think, what to do. And you just had to do it. You didn't do it, you were traded, you were cut, you were released, whatever. But now people are realizing, well, it's not the coaches that win, it's the players that win. The coaches help the players win. So why would we get rid of the players when we could get rid of the coach and maybe bring someone in that helps hone the skills? And it's now been a power shift of that. You don't see these coaches unless they are these great motivators and great connections and great people that motivate and bring the players up to a level of the standard. But you don't see these long time whatever you want to call it, tenured coaches or managers. Like the only one I could think of would be like Tony La Russa for the Cardinals. Like, yeah, were they great for that long time? But that was still that old time where Tony was Lord and God.
Yeah.
And what he said went. So,
Belichick.
You didn't jump. He said, yeah, Belichick, same one. Well, look how that shtick ended. That's an even better one. Thank you for bringing that up. Look how that's ended. Everybody's like, well, is Tom as good without Belichick? I don't know. He goes down to Tampa Bay, wins the Super Bowl. Then the next year gets to the semifinals. What's Belichick's done since he left? So, I'm not saying that they didn't help each other, but that runs thin. That's another Mike Keenan, classic hockey coach. You don't coach for a bunch of teams unless a bunch of people get tired of your antics. And that's not to say guys like Peter Laviolette or Tortorello and these guys, those guys are apparently great, motivators, whatever. And you go through those ebbs and flows. And obviously that Berube, ebbs and flows, you hit a down spot of guys left in free agency or in a little bit of a rebuild year. You're not winning. So the coach is like, all right, the ownership's like, we got to change something up. That sucks. But I think with Furch he is that type of, from everything I've seen and talked to him a few times and heard stories about him from guys, he is that type of makes those connections, motivator, brings people up to a standard and a level that, and then they want to, like you said, go through a brick wall for him. They're so like frothed and so just want to succeed because he has instilled that in them, and that culture has been like, let's go, like and that makes it easy. That makes it, people want to go and play for someone like that when you hear stories like that.
Yeah, even like the old kind of crusty old timers, you look at the Texas Rangers and Dusty Baker, he figured that one out too. That team, you could tell they just wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, Dusty was with Houston. That's who it was. But still, you could tell those guys just wanted to win one for Dusty.
Yeah. And that's because Dusty's apparently has been a great manager and connects with his players and tries it. I mean, Madden, not Madden the football coach, Madden the baseball manager.
Joe.
He was just recently with what?
Joe?
Oh, yeah, Joe Madden.
Joe Madden?
Yeah.
And he was with the Angels. They were on that huge losing streak, whatever it was, like 2 years ago. And he had came in and he had buzzed his hair into a mohawk to kind of like just be fun and try to rile the guys and be like, hey, let's shake things up. Let's change it up. And on his way in, he got fired. He got told that he was fired. So the team never even got to see the mohawk. But like, talk about that. A guy in his 60s, almost, or however old he is. He's just like, you know what? I don't really care about my appearance. I'm going to shake it up. I'm going to shave my head into a mohawk just to kind of shake things up in the locker room and show them that, hey, I'm here to shake things up. I'm here to battle and fight for you guys and try to make everything work. And we're trying to get it. how can we change things up to go, you know? Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But I think whatever Furch is doing, and again, I say that because I don't know the man personally. I've never got to play for him. I wish I could have, based off of his track record of how he plays his goalies.
No,
and based off what I've heard of, basically you came in, if you showed that you played well, you worked your ass off, and you had success, you're going to play. And like I would have loved to play in that type of a situation. But
wasn't he one of the assistants here last year?
Nope, he came in the year after. And I think that this was something else I thought about. He saw how things didn't work with Andy, because the year before, so a year or so before I came in, he was still the assistant coach for Andy, because he came when Blashill left. Furch was still on the coaching staff.
Yep.
And he coached alongside with Andy. And like we were talking about before, and I think I've said before, I used to work with Dan Schneider, the old arena manager for Lawson. And his office was just down the hallway from Andy's office and everything. And he's like, I used to hear screaming matches all the time between Furchweiler and Andy, because they wouldn't agree on how to run things. So, so I think possibly Furch saw how that went and was like, this division amongst the coaches isn't working and doesn't yield success. So that's where I hope that Furch is now, and with him taking over, that he doesn't have, or he at least has more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Continuity, maybe?
Continuity, yeah. The same message across all coaches. Like, you're not getting told one thing, and then you talk to Andy or you talk to somebody else and you're getting told a completely other, and now you're like, I'm completely confused. I think Furch, there's a consistent message across all boards, and no matter what coach or whoever you go and you talk to, you're going to get that same message. So I think that's something he's done well.
Wes, I'm a little concerned as to what is happening with your child and you.
She came to visit from upstairs. She's not sleeping like she should be, but she doesn't feel the greatest. So.
Oh.
And she won't. She keeps disappearing on the camera. Where is she? Yeah, there she is.
There she is. Well, there. Nope. Yep.
Hi. Oh, nope. All right. Back to Mom.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
She's like, I'm out. I had enough of this.
Almost done. And then I'll come grab her.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked for
an hour and a half.
Yeah, well, an hour because
someone was late again.
Because somebody couldn't remember how time works and clocks work, and
no, because somebody doesn't know that I'm very particular.
Oh, you're particular.
He has a particular set of skills, and they're all awful.
That is very true.
Yeah,
I probably won't find you. I
won't be able to find you. I won't be able to hurt you, and I don't have any money to give you. So you've got a great chance of getting away.
It's definitely right.
All right, let me go help take care of sick baby. Mom's been dealing with her for 2 days by herself during the work day. So
do your quick sign offy thingy, majigger.
Yeah, this one's gonna be real quick. There's some YouTube stuff to do. You can hit like, subscribe, or leave a comment. Other than that, again, I got a sick baby to go take care of, so I'm gonna go do that. Pucks on net, good things happen. Goal horns and fight songs. Till the next one, adios. We're out.
Bye.